Welcome to Examina, this dungeon explorer physics-based combat game that was released on Steam not long ago. If you've played this game or if you're thinking about playing this game, you'll understand that the combat system in this game is very unique and is something that we haven't seen before, and a lot of it, honestly, is counterintuitive. It's not a button masher. Pushing certain buttons or moving a certain way will not perform a certain type of combination. Combat, physics-based, while not exactly random, is different every time. There's no attack and counterattack type of system that we're familiar with in Assassin's Creed. You may be in the midst of a battle and perform some type of move or a maneuver and say to yourself, "Hey, how did I do that? Was it because of a button I pushed? Was it the way I moved my mouse? Was it the way I moved my feet, or a combination of all of them?" This guide, hopefully, will help you understand how this combat system works. You can't just jump into the game or into the practice arena and start attacking and swinging your sword and moving around and hoping that you'll get the hang of it, because that's simply not going to work. You're going to become frustrated, you're going to become pissed off, you're going to think that the learning curve is too hard because you're going to die so much, you're not really sure what's going on, because honestly, it's quite chaotic. So what I've done to help myself learn is identified the aspects of combat and broke them down into phases and studied and practiced each phase individually. We're going to be taking the broadsword because it's the easiest to see and it's the easiest to see how the weapon moves. Phase 1, blocking. In this phase, we're going to focus on blocking. Your character blocks automatically, usually. What happens is, so long as you are not performing another action or facing the completely wrong way, your character will automatically block. In this phase, we're not moving, we're not attacking, we're not moving around with the WASD keys, we're not clicking a mouse. We're simply focusing on keeping our red cursor on the target so that we're always facing him and responding to the blocks, which again is done automatically. Use this phase to watch how an enemy attacks, watch what they do when they attack, how they look when they're about to attack, and what your character does when he defends and how he defends. Again, this is done simply by moving your mouse around and keeping that red cursor on your target. Once you've done this for a while and you've become used to seeing how the enemy attacks and how you respond to it, feel free to move on to phase 2. Phase 2, movement. In this phase, like phase 1, we're not attacking. We're simply moving around in circles and figuring out what the WASD keys do. Keeping your cursor on your target with your mouse and using the WASD keys, move left to right in circles, forwards and backwards, taking blocks as you need them. This is an important phase to study and to practice because it's counterintuitive. The keys move your character based on his position, not his position to the camera. So if your character is facing down towards the bottom of the screen, pressing the S key to move him further down is actually going to move him backwards. He's going to take a step back. So it's important to practice this one around because you don't want to be in combat and move in the wrong direction because you're a little bit confused because of the camera angle. You can certainly press space to realign the camera to give you your bearings again if you so need. But keep practicing this phase as long as it takes for you to get used to your character movement with the WASD keys. Once you're comfortable with that, feel free to move on to phase 3. Phase 3, attacking. In this phase, like phase 1, we're not moving. We're focusing on what the mouse buttons do and what the mouse swings do in terms of our weapon movement. Remain stationary and focus only on the mouse buttons and the mouse movements. Be prepared to die a lot in this phase because since you're not moving, you're leaving yourself open to a lot of attacks. But it's important to distinguish how your weapon is performing based only off of the mouse movements and not how your feet are moving. Now, since he's down, this is a good opportunity to show the inventory system. You press Tab to go into combat, and you press I to bring up your inventory. Now, pretty much anything that you see lying around you can be picked up and put into your inventory. It's just a drag system. It's very simple. Double-clicking a downed enemy will bring up his inventory, and you can drag these items from his inventory onto the ground, or you can drag them directly into your inventory. And if he's wearing something that you want, you can just drag it up, plops it on your character, like so. Or you can drag things from your inventory into his, if you want to get rid of some items. Or you can drag it onto the ground, pull things off of the ground into your inventory. But you got to make sure that when you're taking something from inventory onto the ground, it actually appears on the ground, not the big icon, because it'll just flop back into the inventory. So make sure you move it around to where you actually see the small icon. There you go. Move it around. Move it around. Yep, there you go. And you just hit the X button or I to close out the inventory. Now, since he's down, this gives you an opportunity to practice your weapon manipulation in peace and quiet without being attacked. You can think of your mouse like a clock. If you move the mouse over to the 3 o'clock position and swing it over to 9 o'clock or swing it to 12 o'clock, he performs a right to left swing. If you move your mouse over to the 9 o'clock position, swing it to the 12 or swing it all the way over to the 3, you'll notice that he performs a more like a backhanded left to right swing. You can also feint an attack by only clicking the mouse button once and not holding the mouse down completely. So the only movements I've discovered are pretty much swings. Right to left swings, left to right swings. Now, if you double click the mouse and hold the mouse down on the double click, he'll perform like an overhead strike as so. So as of right now, there's just the back and forth swings and the overhead that are implemented at this point. Once you feel comfortable with weapon play, feel free to move on to Phase 4. Phase 4, full implementation. In this phase, take everything that you've practiced and studied from phases 1 to 3 and implement it into a full-on battle. You've studied how the blocking works, you've studied how your foot movement works, you've studied how the weapon manipulation, weapon movement works. Now you can take it in, practice all of those aspects, and get used to it full speed. And once you're comfortable with one type of weapon, go back to the character creation screen, grab a different weapon, grab maybe the mace, the shield and the sword, the polearm or whatever, and practice those. Repeat step 1, then 2, then 3, then go on in full battle. Go back, grab a new type of weapon, and repeat phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. And just keep doing that over and over and over again until you can better understand how the combat mechanics in this game work. Don't just jump into the game without practicing, or practice for a little bit and then jump into the game, because once you die in game, you start all the way over. And if you're not practicing, you're going to die very quickly. You're going to become frustrated. You're going to think that the game's too hard, or that the game mechanic sucks, the combat sucks, or whatever. And this really cool game is going to sit in your Steam library and just rot away. So to recap, Phase 1 was blocking. Remain stationary, don't move with the WASD keys, and take the blocks as they come. Learn what your opponent looks like when he's attacking. Phase 2 was movement. Like Phase 1, you're not attacking, but this time you're moving. Use the WASD keys to move around in circles, forwards, backwards, dashing out of the way, and whatnot. Phase 3 was attacking. Remember, like Phase 1, remain stationary, but unlike Phase 2, don't move around. Stand there, block as you need, but then counter. Learn how your mouse movements and your mouse clicking affects your attacks. Then Phase 4 was full implementation. Learn everything, or take everything that you've learned from the previous phases and put it into a real-time combat practice run. And of course, phase 5 is to practice. Now, breaking combat up into this method helped me learn. It was a personal thing that helped me figure it out. If you have a better way of doing it, certainly by all means do that. And if you learn anything else, please leave it in the comments and let me know what you've learned. Thanks for watching.